Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Business Courier. David Falk is putting Cincinnati on the national map of foodie cities. We'll tell you about his plans to take his unique style beyond Cincinnati.
What's the genesis of
The Bourbon Trail runs through Newport. We'll take you to the new Riff Distillery and Event Center that has everyone talking. And a packed audience to hear the state of commercial real estate in our community. Baby boomers rule. And U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning and welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Peg Rasconi. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, if you enjoy good food, eating dinner with David Falk is a bucket list experience. Since opening his first restaurant in Northside 12 years ago, Falk has become arguably the best and most successful chef in the city. And he's just getting started. If all goes as planned, Falk will be serving dinner each night for more than 2,000. The New Richmond native now runs 3 of Cincinnati's most popular and acclaimed restaurants, Boca, Soto, and Nada, all right next to each other on 6th Street downtown. In December, Falk will open a second Nada, an upscale Mexican restaurant in Columbus. And in the next 5 years, his Boca restaurant group plans to open 9 more Nada locations across cities in the eastern U.S. Falk says the key to success in those cities is location, location, location.
The greatest concern I have is the fact that this is the first time I've ever had to pick real estate in a city that I'm not from, which is why we put together an incredible advisory board headed up by Paul Kitzmiller and Mark Fallon and other gentlemen who are helping us to identify the best locations. I'm confident about our operations, but finding the right locations is going to be the single most significant factor to our success.
How and whether Falk will make the transition could also help Cincinnati cement its stature as a city on the rise for foodies. Business Courier reporter Tom Demoropoulos sat down for lunch with David Falk last week and has more on his expansion plans, his investors, and his love of food in this week's front page centerpiece story. Well, while Cincinnati is making a name as a food city, Newport is now distilling bourbon. New Riff Distillery is now open on the Party Source property right across the Big Mac Bridge in Newport. It's the brainchild of former Party Source owner Ken Lewis and features a 55-foot copper still tower for distilling.
About 5 years ago, 6 years ago, it certainly dawned on me that the beginning boom in bourbon was a lot more than even a boom. It was a cultural shift in drinking habits. And it dawned on me that, hey, I'm in Kentucky, but I'm right next door to a major metropolitan area. This could be the best place in the United States for a craft distillery. So that was the genesis of the idea.
New Riff was recently added to the Kentucky Distillers Association and the Kentucky Bourbon Trail Craft Tour. Once the distilling process is in full swing, New Riff will be able to produce about a dozen 53-gallon barrels of bourbon per day. It will be years before the first batch will be available, but the facility will sell other spirits to visitors in the meantime. Well, in addition to being a working distillery, New Riff will also host private events. The facility includes a 3rd-floor bar, outdoor balcony with skyline views, and 2nd-floor master kitchen and dining room. Amy Tobin is New Riff's creative director and joins U.S. Bank Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio with more on the event opportunities New Riff brings to the tri-state. Amy and Kelly.
Thanks, Peg. Amy, thanks so much for being here. I have been there. It is stunning. I mean, the views and the furniture and just everything about it. What's the goal of the event center?
Well, you know, I think all of us, Ken Lewis, the owner, has assembled a team that really has just joined his vision of making not only world-class bourbon, but having a world-class event space. So we rent the event center for corporate events or weddings or parties, but we also have programming that we offer on both the 2nd and 3rd floor so that we can let the community in to see this amazing space.
And where do you stand with, do you have events schedule? Do you have programming up and running, or
We
what stage are you in?
You can find events at newriffdistilling.com and click the events tab. We've got cooking classes every Monday night as our Chef's Table event.
Nice.
Tuesday nights we're doing talks. They aren't on the website yet, but we're really excited to bring in some of our city's most interesting characters for Tuesday nights. And then Wednesdays we generally do tastings, whether it be bourbon tastings, wine tastings, beer tastings, and we're finding ourselves pretty booked up for the weekends, so we're not trying to add programming there. We've got private events.
And it's a pretty amazing building. This is a new building.
It
Glazer
is,
Works?
yes. Glazer Works did it. They are award-winning architects. You might be familiar with their work at Findlay Market, but our building is up for a few awards, which is pretty exciting. And it's just, you can tell the thought and the passion that went into the building, that's going into our bourbon, that's going into our programming. It's all there. But from natural light coming into our commercial kitchen, people who work in commercial kitchens know that is a rarity, and it sort of shows the vibe our building gives off.
Yeah.
Comfortable and inspiring.
It's a cool space and just adds to all that's going on in the urban core. So if you haven't seen it, get over there and see it. It's awesome. Amy, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Kelly.
Peg, back to you.
All right, sounds fabulous. Thanks, Kelly and Amy. There's also a new pizza concept in our area. Blaze Fast-Fired Pizza, a build-your-own pizza restaurant, is now open in Deerfield Township. The 2,500 square foot restaurant has seating for 73 and features an outdoor patio with room for 30 more. Blaze uses an ordering concept similar to Chipotle, where customers create their own custom 11-inch pizzas for $6.95. The pizzas are made on an open flame oven in less than 3 minutes. The shell of the $180 million Clinical Sciences building at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center is 75% complete. We have an aerial photo that shows that work continues on the east side, but the front of the 15-story tower in Avondale is nearly done. Construction began in June 2012 and is scheduled to finish in summer of 2015. The tower will bring total research space to 1.4 million square feet across 7 buildings, making Cincinnati Children's the largest pediatric research center in the nation. A Cincinnati trade group devoted to technology has a new leader. Brian Burning's real job is managing director of SS&G, an entrepreneurial services group, but he's also taken over as executive director of the Circuit, which provides resource for IT professionals to collaborate, advocate, educate, and share experiences.
Our vision for the organization is really to help our organizations, or help certainly this community, recruit, retain, and develop talent in the region. That's our primary goal at the moment.
Burning says the #1 issue in the innovation technology world is finding experienced talent, specifically developers. He said the Circuit has helped develop a new talent track to boost recruiting efforts. The Business Courier's Q&A this week is with Hamilton County Administrator Christian Sigmund. Sigmund started his career as a police officer. He worked nights while earning a master's degree in public administration. He's committed to working for the public good and offers this advice to people who are considering moving from the private to the public sector.
Jump right in. It's a lot of fun. Our mission is so varied compared to a private company. I'd like to use P&G as an example. They have many different brands, but at the end of the day, the mission is very similar across all of those brands. In a county government or city government, our mission is obviously to help people and provide for the common good, but our business lines are so different. From everything from picking up a dead deer on the street, to testing air, to cleaning water, to running a court system. It's just endless. We have 7 24/7 operations going on at any given time.
Sign here.
Sigmund has been administrator of Hamilton County since 2011 after serving as assistant administrator for 5 years. The Business Courier's annual commercial real estate developers power breakfast brought about 600 people to the Duke Energy Convention Center last week. The event focused on the current state of retail in the U.S. and how those trends impact the greater Cincinnati market. Jeff Anderson, founder and CEO of Jeffrey R. Anderson Real Estate, was the keynote speaker. He said retailers must augment their core offerings with services and experiences to stay competitive.
So right now, the reason service businesses are doing so well is because the baby boomer, who basically controls the largest amount of wealth in the United States, is demanding that kind of service. And more importantly, they're not as interested in buying new suits as they are having a great, entertainment venue.
Anderson also told the audience it would make sense to have Tiffany join Saks Fifth Avenue when it moves to Kenwood Collection. Sources who asked not to be named tell the Business Courier Tiffany has been considering a move to Kenwood for some time. In other news for Kenwood Collection, healthcare technology firm Unlimited Systems has signed on to occupy the entire top floor. Unlimited Systems is currently located in the towers of Kenwood Building on Montgomery Road. The building is scheduled for completion in fall of 2015. Well, up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, P&G is creating a lot of new jobs, and they're close by. Do you text and drive? Really? Maybe a simulated test drive will convince you to stop. Some news you may have missed if you're not reading the Business Courier online every day or following on Twitter and Facebook. Procter & Gamble will create about 800 jobs at a new $89 million distribution center to be built near Dayton. The 1 million square foot center is expected to begin operating in 2015. It will distribute household goods made by P&G to customers in the Midwest. The jobs will be created through third-party customization and logistics providers. As streetcar construction continues, Metro is looking for a company to brand what it calls the hottest new product in Cincinnati. The region's largest public transit agency requested proposals to create an identity for the $133 million streetcar project. The cost for branding will be paid by federal funds, not Metro's operating budget. The work includes creating a logo, signs, uniforms, website, and printed materials. The national It Can Wait campaign made a stop at Dunnhumby, USA downtown last week. The goal is to reinforce the dangers of texting while driving at any age. Employees had a chance to sit in a texting while driving simulator, then sign a pledge not to text and drive. UC basketball coach Mick Cronin attended and said he wants to bring that simulator to campus. Speaking of UC, a student housing complex near campus is the best student housing community in the nation. That's according to the National Apartment Association. It announced U Square at the Loop is a winner in the student housing category. The annual Paragon Awards recognize the multifamily housing industry's top communities, executives, employees, and affiliate programs. The U Square development includes 161 apartments. And Procter & Gamble has announced its first Bounce product for use in washing machines. And it may do more than just keep your clothes soft and smelling good. The time-release capsules could be a new form of aromatherapy. P&G suggests that the outdoor fresh scent could be so reminiscent of nature that the product could improve the mood and energy level of someone who wears clothes washed with the concentrated perfume ingredients. Americans spend about 90% of their time indoors, according to P&G research. Researchers suggest the lingering effects of the scent of the great outdoors just might give us more balance. Well, 2015 has been a big year so far for initial public offerings, and it's about to get even bigger. The long-anticipated debut of Chinese internet company Alibaba was recently announced, and it's likely to be the largest IPO of all time. In this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360, U.S. Bank Vice President and Portfolio Manager Mike Denneman joins Business Courier editor Rob Dahlmeyer in the studio with some insight on Alibaba. Mike and Rob.
Peg, thanks. Mike, thanks for being here.
Morning.
Alibaba's not a household name in the United States, so let's start with this. What is it, and what does Alibaba do?
Sure. Well, it probably isn't a name that's familiar to many Americans, but it is certainly a household name in China. So, at base, it's an e-commerce company. It's often described as a combination of eBay and of Amazon because it has the eBay-type component where users sell to one another, and then the Amazon-type component where retailers sell to consumers. And then throw in a search engine, throw in some business-to-business, throw in a PayPal-like component, and what you end up with is an absolute internet giant. So just to put that in some perspective, it's estimated that 4 out of every $5 that the Chinese spend online goes through Alibaba.
Wow. How big is the IPO going to be?
Well, huge in a nutshell. You know, anytime a company this large comes to market, it draws a lot of headlines. Even more so because Alibaba has decided to list shares on a U.S. market. So, you know, we won't have more firm numbers until we get additional data from the company, but it's likely, as Peg said, to be the largest IPO of all time. So currently, the record holder is Visa, which came to market in 2008, raising $20 billion. Everyone, of course, recalls the Facebook IPO of just a couple years ago where they raised $16 billion. So all we have to go on right now are estimates of Alibaba's value, but analysts suggest it could be worth between 150 and 200 billion. So even if they sell only a fraction of those shares to the marketplace, it's going to be very big.
So American investors know, they understand Amazon, they understand eBay. What should they understand about this if I'm interested in investing?
Sure. Well, the first thing to understand is that there's going to be a lot of hype, and with hype comes a lot of demand. So I think, as is oftentimes the case with very popular IPOs, that unfortunately it's going to be tough for the average investor to get shares prior to coming to market. So the question then becomes, do you buy shares right after they're offered and hope that they continue to appreciate, or do you wait for all the excitement and hoopla to die down and then pick them up later? I think we saw clearly with Facebook, for example, that all the hype isn't necessarily a positive thing. All of that comes with one big caveat, and that is for shareholders of Yahoo, the U.S. internet search company, which owns about 40% of Alibaba. So they stand to have a pretty big payday when the shares come to market. So if you're a shareholder currently of Yahoo, you are already indirectly a shareholder in Alibaba. So that would be one way for American investors to get access to the shares right away.
I got on the site for a second the other day after this happened, and of course it's in Chinese, so I quickly got back off. But does it look just like Amazon?
It doesn't. From what I understand, they keep the web page itself intentionally cluttered because Chinese consumers are used to dealing in a marketplace. They're used to haggling. They're used to you know, going back and forth over price. So the web page itself doesn't resemble what you or I would expect to see on an eBay or an Amazon. It's much more busy, so to speak.
But it works for that market.
Absolutely.
Great. Hey, Mike, thanks for being here. Peg, back to you.
All right, great. Thanks, Rob and Mike. Still to come on U.S. Bank Business Watch, a new name and a new home for a local business that focuses on helping other businesses succeed. And congratulations to Dan Royce, partner at JT Capital Advisors, another of our 40 under 40 honorees. This morning's Business Insight, finding the right talent is critical to business survival. Baldwin Gilman is a firm that's been doing that kind of work for decades, and the firm is making some changes to reflect its own development in the marketplace. Baldwin Gilman is now Gilman Partners. It's added some new partners and is moving at the end of the month. Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith is in the studio with Tom Gilman, managing partner and CEO of Gilman Partners. Tom and Jamie.
Thanks, Peg. Tom, thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Jamie. Good to be here.
So, new partners, new building. Sounds like Gilman Partners is going through some growth of their own.
We're going through some growth of our own, and we're happy for it. You know, the recession hit the recruiting industry very hard, and we've recovered from that. We're very optimistic about the future. So, in terms of our own succession, we've added 3 new partners, Barry Elkis, Marcy Lauber, Rick Meyer, and we're moving forward with that. And as we added partners, we said we ought to change our name to reflect better who we are.
Right.
So it is now Gilman Partners.
Right. What's driving growth in your industry right now? You know, is there certain industries out there that...
We're primarily a generalist firm.
Okay.
But our business has been quite good for the last couple of years, and we're very optimistic about the remainder of this year. What's driving it is several things. Our clients are, first of all, profitable and have been for a number of years, but we're now seeing them grow.
Okay.
And as they grow, they feel the need to add talent. Secondly, many companies are experiencing the fact of baby boomers retiring or thinking about retiring. And I think after the recession, many of them now feel they can retire. So that opens up senior executive kinds of opportunities.
Yeah.
And I think another factor is the fact that the millennial generation, which will be the generation that replaces the baby boomers, from a total size standpoint, is actually smaller, significantly smaller than the baby boomers.
Yeah.
So we're beginning to see the effects of kind of a talent shortage, which is obviously good for our business.
Okay. Do you think Cincinnati's the norm? I mean, when it comes to your industry?
I think that, you know, and my perspective is probably more the Midwest than it is the entire country, but I think Cincinnati is doing very well relative to the rest of the Midwest. So maybe the norm, yes, maybe a little better. It seems to be a little better. We do some work in Dayton and Columbus and Indianapolis and places like that. And I think Cincinnati may be doing some better than that.
When you talk about the shortage, are there any certain industries that we're seeing a lot of shortage in?
Not so much industries, although healthcare is always short and technology is always short. But there is a real demand at a senior level for CFOs, VP-type marketing positions, operations people.
Okay.
And then at the next level down, in terms of an organization, there seems to be a real shortage of good financial people, good technology people, engineers. And we're even seeing a pickup in things like human resource positions, which have been very dormant and very slow for many years. So I would say that's a good thing for the economy.
Well, you know, I look at kind of our long-range plan, and when we get together for strategic sessions, I look at my management team, and we're all within a year of each other in age.
Right.
You know, and you always just wonder, you know, how does that work out in transitioning,
that's exactly right.
You know?
Well, yeah, we had a client who called me and said, you know, I just inventoried my senior executives, and I wasn't surprised that their average age started with a 5. Says I was a little disappointed when the second number was a 9. So that speaks to the fact that companies really need to be thinking about succession planning, or what are they going to do when those people do retire, because they are going to retire.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's what I've started to think. You know, and again, you want to work that fine line, because you don't want to feel like you're, you know, get the impression you're pushing people out, but yet at the same time you don't want to get to that year where your entire team cycles out.
And it's important to have those kind of conversations with your team and to make sure you know what they plan to do, so that you can provide them and backstop to the extent necessary.
Great. Well, listen, congratulations on your growth. Congratulations on the new building, and thanks for being in here today.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Have a great day.
Thanks.
Peg?
All right, great stuff. Thanks, gentlemen. And thank you for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning here at 6:30 on Local 12 and at 10 a.m. on the CW. For more business news all week long, please visit the Business Courier online and sign up for daily emails and follow on Twitter and Facebook. The address is CincinnatiBusinessCourier.com. I'm Peg Rasconi. Hope you have a great Sunday.